After doing the 1-ton swap on my 80 series Land Cruiser, I've discovered a few weak points, one of them being the steering system. This Land Cruiser already has 230,000 miles on it, so it's needless to say that the steering box needed rebuilding. Pair that with 42-inch tires and this Dana 60 kingpin, and the steering system seems a little weak. No, these are not 42-inch tires, these are 31s, and I had to have them on in order to get it into the garage. What you see me doing here is actually measuring the steering travel that I have on this 1-ton tie rod setup, which I'm going to be changing. I needed to figure out exactly how much steering travel I had so I could place my order with Redneck Rams for a custom steering hydro assist ram, which will require drilling and tapping the steering box, so I figured rebuilding it while doing all of this made a lot of sense. After 30 years, this steering box put up a good fight, but it's time to rebuild it, and even after a fresh engine swap with the Cummins about a year ago, I can tell from this power steering fluid color, or the ATF color, that it's getting a little hot. The first thing I'm doing here is removing the nut that secures the pitman arm onto the splines of the sector shaft, and unfortunately for me, this thing would just not come off. I tried heating it up with a torch, using a pitman arm puller, and I ultimately decided to cut it off. I wouldn't recommend doing this other than the fact that I'm going to be rebuilding it with a 105 series sector shaft, so in order to save some time, I just resorted to hacking through it. And I can tell you right now, that was some thick, hard steel. Here you can see me removing the 4 bolts that hold this cover over the sector shaft. You can see me loosening this nut. This is the nut that would allow you to loosen or tighten the amount of play in the wheel. I wouldn't recommend doing that, as you tighten it, it's going to prematurely wear the steering box. It's a trick to kind of tighten up loose steering after several years of not being rebuilt. With a few taps of the hammer, the sector shaft was completely removed, and those little tapered teeth right there are what, when you tighten that adjustment nut, allow it to be tighter feeling at least, but then it can also cause binding. Here I've removed the top 4 bolts that hold this worm gear, and there's a ton of little ball bearings that are going to fall out, so you see me fishing it here with a magnet. There are 44 of them, and you need each and every last one of them, so make sure that you don't lose those. You can see me here using a baking pan. This power piston nut was giving me tons of trouble. I ended up stripping it out, and I've seen people have experienced this before, so I ended up just welding a nut or a bolt onto it and was able to get it off relatively easy. But it's something you should be prepared for. If you're rebuilding one of these, you should have access to a welder. So there is a spring and a plunger mechanism that is also down in there. You'll have to fish out with a magnet. And this allows the power piston to be removed. And it literally looks like a piston that would be in the cylinder of an engine. Make sure that you don't lose the rest of the ball bearings that are housed inside the piston. I wanted to interrupt the video real quick to announce the sponsor for today's video, and that is Cruiser Outfitters. I've used Cruiser Outfitters for multiple knuckle rebuild kits, as well as odds and ends that I need in order to complete this swap, motor mounts. They've got pretty much everything you need if you have a Land Cruiser. So check them out at cruiseroutfitters.com. For this steering box rebuild, I'm going with the 105 sector shaft rebuild kit. So it has all of your seals, new nuts, washers, the power piston nut, everything you need in order to rebuild it. Now the reason I'm going with the 105 sector shaft, and for those of you who don't know, a 105 series was a model that they got in other countries that we didn't see in the US. Is basically a 100 series Land Cruiser with a 1FZ engine or like. So this has a larger diameter and I believe more splines, as well as the pitman arm. So I've seen these sector shafts, at least on pictures, twist the splines. With 42-inch tires and 1-ton axles, this was a no-brainer. But even if you have 35s or 37s and you're an aggressive driver and you like to go off-roading, get in the rocks, this is a no-brainer. Most of us could probably use with a steering box rebuild, so why not at least upgrade while you're rebuilding it? Thank you, Cruiser Outfitters, for sponsoring this video and providing parts for all Land Cruiser enthusiasts. Now back to the video. This is the worm gear mechanism, and it's connected to the U-joint that goes to your steering wheel, so this is responsible for rotating the assembly to activate the power piston. And I've gone ahead and removed the initial lock ring with a small chisel of sorts, and then the angle grinder tool you see me using here is an adjustable one from Harbor Freight, and that allows you to get this whole collar off. Next, we can completely separate the worm gear from that housing, and in the kit from Cruiser Outfitters, they include this, I guess, driver of sorts. It's 3D printed, and it allows you to get all of these seals and bearings out of this bore here, which is really nice. You could just use a similarly sized socket. This bearing was not included in the kit. I don't think it was necessary to replace it, so I'm just gonna rerun it, making sure to clean everything out and then use ATF in order to assemble everything. This does not take power steering fluid, it takes automatic transmission fluid. See here, removing the outer O-ring and replacing it with the O-ring in the kit, as well as a couple other O-rings which are again included in the kit. And this is where it gets a little tricky. You want to make sure that you use ATF when assembling these. There is a Teflon or plastic ring on the inside of this piece, as well as another rubber O-ring. This Teflon O-ring is a little stiff, so I use some hot water in order to heat it up, make it a little more pliable, and get it in that groove with the new rubber O-ring. Use some more ATF to assemble the worm gear shaft before sliding it in, and then just verifying that everything feels nice and happy before I tighten this down. So again, we have the outer locking washer or ring, and you tighten that down with the Harbor Freight angle grinder tightener. And then we have this locking ring that you use a drift in order to tighten. As you can see here, there were a few marks that I preemptively marked before taking it apart to make sure that everything lined up. So we've got a Teflon spacer as well as another rubber O-ring on the top side of this power piston. We're going to coat that with ATF. And then I didn't have to use hot water to get this one around the top part of the piston, but I recommend it if you're struggling. You don't want to tear these. That's going to essentially act as your compression ring, like on a piston on an engine. There are two screws that hold this tube onto the power piston, and there's going to be a bunch of these ball bearings in here. And this was by far the most tedious part. It is just, if you've had a lot of coffee and you're shaking, it's not fun. So anyways, you want to assemble the remaining 44 ball bearings into this power piston worm gear assembly, and it's incredibly difficult. I ended up using a small punch in order to press them down, and that got the job done, but you're going to fiddle with it for a bit. This is a Solvefunction 3D printed tap guide. Solvefunction.com makes this, and it made it super easy to find where I was going to drill and tap. There's several write-ups on I Hate Mud on where to drill, but I'd much rather have this 3D printed guide to show me exactly where I need to go. That is the vein for the high pressure side, and then right through the O on the Toyota for the return side. This is a 1/4 inch 18, I believe, NPT tap, and it's always a little nerve-wracking making sure that you're tapping straight, that you're not gonna mess up the threads, especially on an 80 series Land Cruiser steering box like this. Just take your time, add a little pressure downward, and make sure that you're going in straight. Later we'll be adding some fittings in order to cap these off for the time being until I get my hydro assist ram, but for now, these are drilled successfully. I got a little close on that high pressure side, but it'll work. Now with the box upside down, you can see me removing the outer seal as well as the C-ring, and there's a couple other Teflon spacers and O-rings in here. Just use a pick or a small screwdriver to get these out. Here are the old ones. The kit comes with new ones, and again, we coat them with ATF before putting them in. A little tedious getting them in their grooves, but just take your time. There's also a lock washer or some sort of a retaining ring in there. I was just using a 24mm socket, then some reverse snap ring pliers to get the C-ring in. And finally we have our seal. There is a lip. That lip faces downward, just like most seals, so that it seals all of your ATF. On this side cover there are two smaller O-rings, and we're going to go ahead and replace those with the O-rings that came in the kit. Adding a little bit of ATF to each one of these seals, and then coating our power piston, especially around where that Teflon ring is, because that you do not want to damage, and it is very easily damaged as you're pressing this power piston down into the bore. So watch it through this top hole here and make sure that you're not crimping that O-ring. Tighten down all your bolts, and then here's our new 105 sector shaft, which is a larger diameter. We have our adjustment screw and this sort of little like locking mechanism. They provide you with a 3D printed tool in the kit, which is really cool. In order to tighten this down, don't get it too tight, otherwise you won't be able to make an adjustment. You're gonna have to do a final adjustment on the truck, but for now we just want to get it in, and we have to actually stake that over. So once I get it down into bore here, I'll center the teeth on the power piston, lightly tap it in, making sure that the teeth are aligned on the sector shaft and the power piston, and then we'll take a small punch in order to stake that nut holding the adjustment screw on. You can thread the top cover over top of that screw and then use a screwdriver in order to pull it through, and that's actually going to seat that cover down so you can get your 4 bolts in. And then there's what looks to be like a fuel washer over that screw, not tightening it too hard, so we want to see about 3 threads on top of that nut. Just finishing up here, we have our power piston with a new O-ring. Remember, mine was completely gone because I had welded it to get it off. Then we have the plunger and then the spring. This gets tightened down, not too tight. If you ever have to take that off, you don't have to weld to get it off again. We've got our 4 bolts. I believe the torque spec was 44 pounds. So you can see me here winding it to 4.5 almost turns and then recentering it so our box is centered once it's on the truck. And we can make final adjustments once we have the front axle up in the air. But you can see me here go 1, 2, and I had already adjusted for the half turn, so now the box is centered. To go even further, I want to drill out this pitman arm to 5/8 so I can do a heim joint with misalignment spacers. These are tapered for Toyota tie rod ends, but I want to make this double shear just to increase the strength as much as possible. Well, that was definitely a time-consuming rebuild, but I've gone ahead and painted the steering box, and it is complete. So I'll have the final adjustment on the truck with the worm gear, and here's the high pressure line that I've temporarily plugged with a AN fitting. That's an Evil Energy fitting. I have, I believe, a higher quality one coming from Redneck Ram. Here's our new 105 sector shaft, and I believe that is the return line. So what I noticed is there's a lot less slop. It's a lot tighter to turn this, so shouldn't turn it too much because I centered it. But also did a little project. This is the 105 pitman arm, and I've added a dual shear tab. So this is cast steel. So what I did is I had this bent, and this is a 5/8 bolt with a 3/4 heim. And high misalignment, well, actually not even high misalignment spacers. These are safety misalignment spacers so that if this breaks, the heim breaks, it's captured by these spacers. So I thought that was pretty cool. But 5/8 bolt, you know, to be honest, like there's going to be a ton of load taken off of the steering box because of the hydro assist I'll be installing in the next video. But I thought this was a nice little touch. What I was really worried about was the movement of this pitman arm in single shear with a heim causing this bolt to wallow out this hole that I've drilled to 5/8. And to be honest, I didn't even take that much material off from the OEM tie rod diameter or taper. So this is the setup I ended up going. I could have drilled it to 3/4, but again, with the hydro assist, there's not going to be a whole lot of stress on it. And really this dual shear tab is to protect this bolt hole from getting wallowed out. These are like 130 bucks, not a huge, you know, problem to have to buy a new one. It is a serviceable part. I saw, I think Dirt Lifestyle's video of him drilling these out and then adding a Zerk. I like that idea, but this is hardened steel and I'm just tired of drilling through hard material, so my camera just doesn't want to focus. So anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and get that torque down on the sector shaft and get it preliminarily installed. So then I will have my drag link coming down to this high steer arm. Unfortunately, I've already drilled this out to 7/8. The reason I did that is because I was using the 1-ton tie rod ends before, and this is a tapered insert, and it required drilling to 7/8. But not to worry. I've got a little insert. This is a 7/8 to 3/4, so this will fit down in here. And it's going to allow me to run a 3/4 inch by 10 inch bolt through this here. Now, there's going to be a ton of stuff I'm going to do in order to make this work. So this is going to be double shear with heims, and it's going to really strengthen this whole system. The hydraulic ram I'm going with is an 8-inch stroke, but I've had it tuned down to 7 inches because that's what I determined. It's going to clamp onto the tie rod here, and it's going to give me a ton more assist, which will be really nice. And it shouldn't be too slow. 80's been on a diet, looking a little skinny nowadays on maybe 30s. I don't even know what these are. The reason I have these bad boys on here is so that I can get it into the garage. Obviously the 42s won't fit. So other thing I'm looking at doing is, these are 14 2.5 king coilovers, and I think they're just too tall. So I'm probably gonna go to a 12-inch. I've still got a decent amount of stroke left, but I think these are just too tall. That Apollo 9 kit is awesome, the coilover shock tower mount. However, because of this configuration, I've had to mount this tab on top of the axle, and this bracket was taken into consideration. Remember, it was for an 80 series. So this mount would have been lower, meaning that I would have had less lift in the front. So this sits pretty high up in the front, and it's causing issues with caster and driveline angles. We're gonna get to all that in the next video. I hope this video helped. If you're considering rebuilding your steering box, definitely get the 105 sector shaft rebuild kit from Cruiser Outfitters. It's a no-brainer. If you're running 35-inch tires or above, it just makes sense, and especially if you don't have hydro. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.